very good evening. My name is Vinu Venkatesh. Welcome to another class of mine on the English language for SAI education. We're going to continue talking about pronouns and the rules for pronouns. So let's get started. So what does rule number 6 say? We start off with rule number 6. It says that the case of pronouns should always agree in number and gender with the noun that they replace. We discussed what cases of pronouns are, right? What is a case of a pronoun? We said that there are 3 cases of pronouns: the subjective case, the objective case, and the possessive case, as you see on this board. What is a subjective case? It comprises of things like I, we, he, she, they, and it. Objective case would be me, us, your, him or her, them and it. Objective case pronouns are the pronouns that we use after verbs. Subjective case pronouns are the pronouns that we use in place of a subject or as a subject in a sentence. Possessive case pronouns are the pronouns that we use when we are trying to indicate ownership or belonging. So this includes pronouns like mine, my, our, ours, yours, your, his, hers, their, its, and the like, right? So let's take a look at an example before we go deeper into this. So is it right to say the teacher suggested that the pupil read good books to develop its language skills? Now, what is its here? Its is a possessive case pronoun. And what does it refer to? It basically refers to pupils, right? So since this is a plural, we have to use their. So the correct version of the sentence would be: the teacher suggested that the pupils read good books to develop their language skills. Now let's take a look at the next rule. The next rule says that after prepositions such as at, to, with, in, on, etc., generally an objective case pronoun is used. What are objective case pronouns? It's these, right? So let's look at an example. Some of my colleagues laughed at they as they were sleeping in the office. Okay? So here, what is the pronoun that they have used? They have used they as a pronoun. Is that correct? Is that an objective case pronoun? No, it's not. So we have to correct the sentence by saying that some of my colleagues laughed at them as they were sleeping in the office. All right? Next rule. The words let, allow, permit. Let, allow, permit is always followed by an objective case pronoun again. For example, we always say allow him to leave. We never say allow he to leave or allow us to leave. We never say allow ours to leave, right? So let's look at a more detailed example. After so many defeats, the keeper came forward saying, "Let I be the main striker." So as per this rule, after let, we have to use the objective case pronoun. But the sentence has used I, which is a subjective case pronoun. Correct? So we have to correct it by saying after so many defeats, the keeper came forward saying, "Let me be the main striker." There are 2 types of pronouns called reflexive and emphatic pronouns. What are they? So any pronoun which ends in the word self, such as himself, herself, ourselves, falls in the category of reflexive and emphatic pronouns. What is the difference between the two? Reflexive pronouns are pronouns which are used right after verbs. Emphatic pronouns are pronouns which are used either after the subject or at the end of the sentence. For example, if I say we enjoyed ourselves, ourselves is a reflexive pronoun because it is used after the verb enjoyed. But if I say I myself cooked the food, myself is an emphatic pronoun because it is used right after the subject I. Alright? Let's look at an example. My mother makes 2 cups of coffee every morning herself. The better way to write the sentence would be my mother herself makes 2 cups of coffee every morning. What kind of a pronoun is herself? It is an emphatic pronoun because it is used right after the subject, my mother. Next rule says that reflexive and emphatic pronouns cannot be used as subjects. I cannot say Megha and myself completed PhD on time. I have to say Megha and I completed PhD on time. What is I? I is a subjective case pronoun, and I cannot use an objective case pronoun like me because only subjective case pronouns can be used as the subjects in a sentence. So what does the next rule tell us? The next rule says that reflective pronouns are not used after verbs such as adapt, stop, complain, concentrate, get up, hide, lie down, meet, relax, move, remember, sit down, shower, etc. You just have to memorize these verbs. So it is not correct to say that it was fortunate that I stopped myself after seeing a snake on my way to college. We simply have to say it was fortunate that I stopped after seeing a snake on my way to college. This rule is as it is. We have to memorize the rule. As I said, some of the rules just have to be memorized and there's no explanation as such given. Alright, moving on to the next rule. After a preposition of place or location, only personal pronouns are used. Personal pronouns means all the subjective case, objective case and possessive case pronouns. Reflexive pronouns are not used after a preposition of place or location, such as next to her, behind, prepositions such as next, behind, on top of, and so on. So it is not right to say she realized that after the class she had forgotten to put her books next to herself. We have to say she realized that after the class she had forgotten to put her books next to her. Moving on to the next rule. What does the next rule tell us? The next rule says that when there is no object after the verbs such as pride, enjoy, avail, hurt, absent, move, introduce, acquit, resign, reconcile, reflexive pronouns have to be used. So remember, we talked about certain verbs where we could not use reflexive pronouns. What were those verbs? Adapt, stop, so on. But in this case, when there is no object after the verbs that I mentioned, we have to use reflexive pronouns. So for example, after the successful event, the organizer introduced in front of the parents and invitees. Alright, so what is a verb here? Introduced, right? Is there an object after introduced? No, there isn't. So we have to use reflexive pronouns. And we have to correct the sentence by saying, after the successful event, the organizer introduced himself in front of the parents and invitees. Alright, now the next rule is, what it says is that when the word self is used by itself, it is used as a noun and not a reflexive pronoun. Oh, what a way of saying, when self is used by itself. Anyway, so when self is used by itself, it is not used as a noun. It is used as a noun, not a reflexive pronoun. So for example, being a selfish friend, he does not help anyone but self. So instead of self, we can put himself, right? So what does himself here become? Himself becomes a reflexive, himself becomes a pronoun, a reflexive, it becomes an emphatic pronoun. But when we use self by itself, it is used by a noun. It is not a reflexive pronoun. This is just as an FYI. The last rule talks about reciprocal pronouns. Reciprocal pronouns are pronouns such as each other, one another, and so on. So what is the difference between each other and one another? So each other is used if there are two people or two people basically. One another is used if there are more than two people. For example, the police revealed that the two giants killed one another in the fight. Alright, now we cannot use one another here because there are only two giants. So it has to be the police revealed that the two giants killed each other in the fight. But if I want to say that there are more than two giants, for example, the police revealed that the 5 giants killed one another in the fight. It's okay to use one another here because there are more than 2 giants. So that brings me to the end of the class today. I hope you found it useful. Please let me know your comments and feedback. Until next time, wish you all the best and take care.